The grand hall of the palace was silent, its marble pillars rising like the bones of ancient gods. Princess Neferet stood in the center, her head high, but her heart pounding. Her father, the mighty Pharaoh Akhman, was dead. His death had come swiftly, without warning, leaving Egypt without a male heir. Neferet, the only child of the pharaoh, had always been respected for intelligence, beauty, and strength, but she had never been trained to rule. The kingdom's laws had never anticipated a woman on the throne. As a council of priests and nobles gathered to discuss the succession, Neferet felt the weight of the disapproval like a heavy shroud. Whispers echoed through the corridors of power. A woman cannot lead. The gods favor a male pharaoh. We need strength in this time of uncertainty. Among the elders, one voice rose above the rest. General Sekka, her father's most trusted military advisor. Egypt stands on the brink of war, Sekka said, his voice cold and calculating. We need a ruler who can command respect. The princess has no experience in battle, no understanding of what it means to lead an army. Neferet's hands tightened into fists, her nails digging into her palms. She knew that the general was angling for the throne, using her inexperience as his excuse, but the high priest Amenhat interrupted. The gods have not spoken yet, he intoned, his voice soft but full of authority. Let us not assume what cannot be known. The gods may yet favor the princess. Later that night, in the quiet of her chambers, Neferet knelt before the shrine of Isis, her hands trembling as she offered her prayers. Mother of all, guide me, she whispered. If I am to be a pharaoh, show me how to rule. The candlelight flickered, casting strange shadows on the walls, and for a moment, Neferet felt the presence of something divine, a soft whisper in the wind, a promise in the stillness. She didn't know what it meant, but deep in her heart she felt a shift. The gods were watching. By morning, the council had convened once more. The high priest emerged with the decree. The gods have chosen Neferet. She would be Egypt's next pharaoh. Pharaoh Neferet's ascension was met with more resistance than she had anticipated. Though the gods had supposedly spoken, many within the court still doubted her ability to lead. The nobles, accustomed to seeing men on the throne, began quietly conspiring against her. General Sekka, in particular, grew more brazen, using every opportunity to undermine her rule. He claimed that Egypt was vulnerable and that a woman lacked the strength to lead the kingdom through the coming storms. Neferet, however, was no stranger to the expectations placed on her as royalty. As a princess, she had been a scholar, learning about the politics and diplomacy required to rule. Now as pharaoh, she found herself tested at every turn. The first of her challenges came from beyond the borders, an enemy kingdom that had been launching raids into Egyptian territory. It was Sekka's moment to strike, and he used the growing tension to rally support for his cause. The enemy believes us weak, Sekka said before the court, his voice filled with venom. They attack because they see a woman on the throne. We must strike back with full force. Let me lead our armies, and I'll bring you victory. Neferet remained calm even as anger burned beneath the surface. She knew Sekka's real aim was not victory, but to seize control. Instead of reacting with force, she consulted with her advisors and sought counsel with the gods once more. In her nightly meditations, Neferet felt the presence of Ra, god of the sun, who imparted wisdom through cryptic dreams. In one dream, she saw a vision of a great falcon soaring over a battlefield, untouched by the bloodshed below. The message was clear. True leadership was about foresight and wisdom, not brute strength. The next day, Neferet called for a diplomatic approach, dispatching emissaries to the enemy kingdom with an offer of peace. At the same time, she quietly strengthened Egypt's defenses, anticipating that the peace offering might be rejected. When it was time, she was ready. Egypt's forces, led by Neferet's own strategic mind, caught the enemy unprepared, rooting them in a decisive battle. Sekka's plan to undermine her failed, and Neferet's victory silenced many of her doubters. Yet she still knew that this was only the beginning. Her enemies within the court would not stop so easily. Despite her military success, Neferet felt the tension rising in her court. General Sekka's influence lingered, and whispers of rebellion reached her ears more frequently. Some nobles believed Egypt's troubles could only be solved by a male ruler, and Sekka began gathering secret support to overthrow Neferet. One evening, Neferet sought solace in the temple of Isis. The high priest Amenhat, her closest confidant, met her at the altar. The gods have blessed your reign, he said, his voice grave, but there are forces beyond mortal hands that seek to disrupt the balance. You must prove yourself in a way that no man can. Neferet nodded. I can feel the pressure building, but now, how do I prove myself when the court refuses to see my victories? Amenhat led her to a sacred chamber where the oldest relics of Egypt's histories were kept. He revealed an ancient scroll, hidden from all but the high priest. It told of a prophecy, one that spoke of a woman pharaoh who would unite Egypt in its darkest hour by uncovering her true lineage. The scroll hinted at the royal bloodline of the pharaohs was not entirely of this world. that some had divine origins. "You must journey to the Valley of Kings," Amenhotep said. "There lies a tomb long forgotten, said to hold the secrets of your ancestors." Determined to uncover the truth, Neferet embarked on a perilous journey to the Valley of Kings. There she discovered the tomb of an ancient queen, one who had ruled a millennia before time. Inside she found hieroglyphs that told the story of Neferet's divine heritage. She was descended from the goddess of Isis herself. Empowered by this revelation, Neferet returned to the palace with the backing of the priests. She proclaimed her divine lineage in the court. The truth struck fear into the hearts of her enemies, including Sekka. As the court knelt before her in reverence, Neferet knew that no mortal rebellion could stand against the will of the gods. Her rule was now unshakable, her enemies silenced. Neferet, Pharaoh of Egypt, daughter of the gods, will lead her people into a new golden age.